Welcome, my brothers and my sisters, to our School of the Prophets. I'm glad to be here today. I'm glad to see all of you here today as well, and those of you that are viewing with us online. Today, with our School of the Prophets, this year, we were sitting down as a team and thinking of what shall we continue to do to augment the work of God and to really do what God has called us to do. And in his word and through the spirit of prophecy, he teaches us that the ministerial work needs to be coupled with the health work, with the medical missionary work. And so we're glad today to be beginning in our School of the Prophets, our health seminars, our sections on health. We don't just do the ministerial work of teaching the gospel and doctrines and truths from the Word of God, but also having the right arm of the gospel, which is the health message. So we're happy to be here today and to welcome each and every single one of you who are viewing online and who are here. I believe that we're going to learn tons of wonderful things from the Word of God and tons of wonderful things related to our health. If there's something in the world right now that many people are talking about, many people need to increase and ameliorate in their life, that is their health. And we're told that the health message is the entering wedge. If we're able to get the health message out to the world, then they will receive the gospel more readily, more comfortably. They will appreciate it much more. So, without further ado, what I will do is we will begin with the word of prayer, and I will introduce to you our sister and friend, Dr. Brown, who will be doing these sections, these classes on health. Again, I'm really happy about this because I'm really seeing that it's the Lord that's directing in having had given us these truths on righteousness by faith and the finishing gospel and bringing in properly the health message. So if you can kneel, then let us kneel and bow our heads to begin with the word of prayer. Our Father, our God, which art in heaven, we thank you this day for your Holy Spirit. We thank you for the peace that we find in Christ. We thank you for the health that you would have us to have. In your word, you say that you would that our soul prospers, even as our health. And Lord, in you paralleling those two things, it's helping us to realize that we need to get our body right. We want and we need to get our body in order. And so we would take into our bodies, into this temple, only that which you have ordained. And so, Lord, we ask in Jesus' name that as we learn more about health and how it may apply to us, that we may apply it so that we would do as your word calls us to do, to prosper and be in good health. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So I just want to read one statement actually. I just want to read one statement as Sister Dr. Brown will come in a moment. It's taken from this book, the book Evangelism. Taken from the book Evangelism. This is on page 523, and this is the third paragraph in the book Evangelism. And this is what it says. This is paragraph 3 and 4. They're very short paragraphs. It says, the last ministerial work. The last ministerial work. I wish to tell you that soon there will be no work done in ministerial lines, but medical missionary work. The work of a minister is to minister. Our ministers are to work on the gospel plan of ministering. You will never be ministers after the gospel order till you show a decided interest in medical missionary work, the gospel of healing and blessing and strengthening. We will never be the true ministers in this last work that God would have us to be if we do not take hold of the medical missionary work. As a matter of fact, I must read this other statement as well. And by the way, that was Evangelism, page 523 in paragraph 3 and 4. Paragraph 3 and 4. Thank you, Pastor Koku. Paragraph 3 and 4. Now, notice with me this statement. This is taken from Counsels to the Church. It's on page 310 in paragraph 4. 310 in paragraph 4. The reason I'm sharing this right before Sister Brown comes up is because I want us to understand that God has given us a final work to do, and we ought not think that it is just about preaching and teaching the gospel. It is about the gospel at action, the gospel made practical, which is found in the medical missionary work. So in Counsels to the Church on page 310, paragraph 4, it says, there is to be no division between the ministry and the medical work. The physician should labor equally. The physician should labor equally with the minister, and with as much earnestness and thoroughness for the salvation of the soul, as well as for the restoration of the body. And we are in the generation of restoration right now. We study that. And God wants, for this generation of restoration, he wants our bodies to be restored, our health to be restored. So we need to labor for the soul as well as the restoration of the body. Some who do not see the advantage of educating the youth to be physicians both of the mind and of the body say that the tithe should not be used to support medical missionaries who devote their time to treating the sick. In response to such statements as these, I am instructed to say that the mind must not become so narrowed down that it cannot take in the truth of the situation. A minister of the gospel who is also a medical missionary who can cure physical ailment is a much more efficient worker than one who cannot do this. His work as a minister of the gospel is much more complete. Now, this was a serious statement. I'm not going to go through the details of it. I don't have the time, and we're going to go in our health class right now. But read that, Counsels to the Church, page 310 and paragraph 4. She's explaining the importance of the work of the medical missionary physician in tandem with the work of the minister, and showing that the medical missionary physician who has that ministerial background as well, their work is much more complete than those who do not have the medical missionary work attached to their work. And so here, by the grace of God, we've been studying the medical missionary work together for a couple of years now. We just haven't really been putting it out there. But now we are really pressing much more on getting this out to the world much more properly as well, by the grace of God. So I want to introduce to you our sister and friend, Dr. Brown, who has a background in naturopathic medicine as well as agriculture. And I've been telling Dr. Brown that I've been getting into farming and agriculture a lot, and I need more of her help. I'll be the workhorse, and she'll kind of be the brains behind how to do the horticulture and stuff like that. And we're working on that by the grace of God. So she will be teaching us and leading us and guiding us by the grace of God. And I'm really happy to have her here. I'm glad that I could call her a friend, someone that I could speak to whenever I get a chance to see her. I really do appreciate her, if she didn't know that. But here she is, and I am really glad that you're here, Sister Brown. And so I will move over, and I will give you this podium to share with us some very, very important lessons on health. And she's going to be going through some meal plans. And so I think we're going to be really and truly blessed. So God bless you, and pay very close attention.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And I must say, I'm humbled, I'm really happy, and as always, I'm happy to be the chosen one to, get to do all the research and actually share what I have learned. And this is part of my passion. My first passion, as Michael just talked about, my first passion is agriculture. And I think it falls in line with the fact that it's the fundamental, it's the basics, it's everything that we that our lives is based upon. So my first degree was in agricultural science, and that's something I truly love right now. And I'm told all the time by Pastor Cuckoo that I'm already ready for country living. I could pack up and go live in the country right now, and I will be good. And after that, I was a teacher for many years, and I still am a teacher. I teach in the city of New York. I teach agricultural science, environmental science, just name it, it's a science, I teach it. I'm also a naturopathic doctor, and this is the degree that I did for the Lord. I did this one for, I feel like it was my calling, and the Lord I was inspired, I was spoken to, and I did this degree as the last degree, the ND, as I did it for the Lord. This is the one I did for the Lord, so rightfully, the use of it should be for the Lord, and that is why when I'm called to share, it would be hard for me to say no at any point, even though, I have not perfected the art, but I am growing, and I am asking you guys for your prayers, and I'm still working on the process. Now, in today's class, and as a naturopathic doctor, let me explain to you what I do. I work from the perspective that the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I do live blood analysis in order to get a better understanding with my clients. I see clients and I work with them from that perspective, looking at their blood under the microscope. And I also do body scans, and I use these form of analysis, health assessment, as you will call them, to do a program for my clients that are suffering whatever disease, whatever ailment, in order to bring forth better health. And that's like the extent of what I do right now. And today what I will be doing, I will be looking at raw vegan meal planning. I have presented in this forum on raw diet. I have done a cooking class. I'm not sure if everyone has seen this or, but it was done. It's out there somewhere. It's there for viewing, so you could see that segment. Now, it has been drawn to my attention that even though that cooking class was done, there are still people who still have a problem with this raw vegan diet. Now, I am still going to go over some of the initial points that we went through about a raw vegan diet, and then I will take it to the point where we look at planning, the process of planning a raw vegan diet for 7 days. So that's the objective of what we will cover today, or the overview, and the objectives would include we're going to explain why we should eat raw vegan. We're going to identify some of the equipment that we will actually need when we're doing a raw vegan diet, and describe how the raw vegan diet supply all the nutrients that you need, which I think is important because it's of big concern to a lot of people. If I eat raw vegan, I will not be getting all my nutrients, all my protein, all my vitamins. So I felt like that part was important for us to look at. And we will look at the 7-day meal plan as we go through this process. Now, I must, just for an overview, because I am sure there are some of us who have never heard this before, never been through this, I will go over what is considered a raw vegan diet. Now, a raw vegan diet consists of unprocessed, raw, plant-based food. And that's it's predominantly plant-based. Now, a raw vegan diet is plant-based, and the processing of the food does not involve heat. So if we heat our food, the heat should not be, it doesn't involve cooking. Let's say cooking, because if we say it doesn't involve heat. Heat might be present, but the heat that is present is predominantly to dry moisture out of the food, and it's not done very rigorously. It is done very slowly over hours. So we would dehydrate our food at a temperature of no more than 18 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's the temperature, which is not cooking the food, it's just taking moisture out. I am a textured eater, and I really don't like my food or everything that I eat to be all wet and sappy. I prefer to have some of it crunchy, various textures, and dehydrating or removing some of the moisture will add crunch without killing the enzymes that are present in the food. Okay. So I've always contended that, God's original plan for us when he made man and placed man in the Garden of Eden, there was a blueprint for what he should consume to maintain perfection. And that perfection could be maintained if man had not sinned. So when God made Adam and Eve, he placed them in the Garden of Eden, and he gave them only raw food to eat. There was no evidence that any of the food that was given in the Garden of Eden should be cooked. So if our goal is to become like Christ in today's society, it is strongly implicated that we should go back to what the Lord had designed for us in the beginning. The implication is that if we are consistently consuming a diet that is causing us to be sick, our bodies to perish, putting excess stress on the temple that the Lord has given us, and he loaned us this temple, and it is our job to take care of it. So the Lord gave us a diet, and that diet plan is what we should be following today if we are to get to that level of sanctification in order to make it to be a part of the 144,000. So it's implicated that that's the diet that we should be following. I am not here telling anyone that they should or you must do this in order to make it in the kingdom of heaven. Now, God's original diet plan in Genesis 1, verse 29, it says, "Behold, I give you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed, to you it shall be meat." And meat meaning food here. So this is what the Lord gave us as our diet. Now, he gave us these things, and there is no way the Lord could have given us a diet to consume which is going to sustain us and maintain perfection in health and well-being, and this diet is going to be deficient in nutrients as a result of us partaking that diet as our main meals. Okay? So here in Counsels and Diet says the fruits of the trees in the garden was the food man wants, require. So it is satisfying all the needs of men or mankind. Now, these food provided by the Lord, it had nutrients, especially chlorophyll. Now, this is something that we underestimate the value of that green or the concentrate, or we call it concentrated sun powder, which is like twin sister to hemoglobin in red blood cells. And we have one on one extreme, which is the plants, the concentrated sun powder, which is chlorophyll, which is absolutely vital, very important for hemoglobin or for the formation of hemoglobin in red blood cells. So we have the green blood in plant, which makes red blood in humans. And green vegetables are wonderful blood builders. And God was seriously thinking about us when he designed this. Even before we could conceptualize it, we could even figure these things out. The Lord had put them in place for our well-being. Okay, so we could find, as an agriculturalist, going to school, I've done many formulation for animals, predominantly different types of animals. And if we're looking at herbivores, animals that just eat plants, there are some plants that are 100% complete nutrient. It's a complete food. For example, a plant like you might not be familiar, it's called crabgrass. And that's a grass that you will find running in your garden. It's not one of the fancy one that is planted, but it's one of those grass that the animals eat. And the nutritional requirement for the animal is fully fulfilled when they consume these grass. So we as human beings are not able to digest in the level or at the level where a goat or a cow that has compartmentalized stomach and their microbial level are extremely high, we might not be able to digest some of the polysaccharides that are present in these plants. But digesting the polysaccharide is not a critical thing if we can obtain the juice from these plants. It would add valuable nutrients, and we could consume these greens and obtain all the possible nutrients that your body needs. And that include our vitamins and our minerals. So our vitamins and minerals are supplied in abundance from fruits, vegetables, and nuts. They are high in calcium, magnesium, potassium, and a lot of our trace minerals. They are highly supplied when we consume green leafy vegetables. Now, our vitamins are also supplied by eating raw green leafy vegetables. And if we cook them, it is not going to kill the minerals. Minerals doesn't go anywhere, as I've always said. The minerals are there consistently no matter how much heat is applied, but our vitamins are denatured. Now, when in one of the reading here by Ellen G. White, Spirit of Prophecy, it says, let them teach the people to preserve the health and increase the strength by avoiding the large amount of cooking that has filled the world with chronic invalids. Okay, so here the Spirit of Prophecy speak to the amount of cooking that we are doing, that is affecting us. It is seriously affecting our health and our well-being. And if it is spoken of, and we as a people understand that it is affecting us, I do strongly believe that we need to do something about it. Now, here it says, by precepts and example make it plain that the food which God gives Adam in his sinless state is the best for man's use as he seeks to regain that sinless state. Now, we are consistently trying to get to that sinless state. We have to be spotless. And this is a very profound statement, that if we know and we are not living up to the light that we have gained, we will be held responsible. That's something we will be held responsible for. So I'm saying all of this, and I am not trying to preach a sermon or anything, but our health, our diet walks hand in hand with our spiritual growth. If we intend to grow spiritually, we have to conform, we have to change as we learn. We have to implement some of the things that we learn about diet. If we are existing and we know there are 8 laws of health that we need to follow, and we are not following these 8 laws of health, now how are we going to get to that point where we are sanctified and our souls are at that point where we are ready to be translated? There's no way it can happen. And we as a people would say it's a process. And it's a process up to the point where the light is given. Once you get the light, the Lord expects you to apply it and implement it in your life and receive the blessing that you should from that application. So as God's people, as Pastor Kuku mentioned yesterday in his sermon, that we should always be surrendering. And if God says it, we should just do it, consistently surrendering. And that's the only way we are going to grow spiritually. We are going to reach that level of perfection so that we can be like that 144,000. Now, we live in a world where people consume a very sad diet. And the diet they consume, it is one of the primary culprits why we have so much disease today. And every family, every person here knows someone who is suffering, whether it's from high blood pressure, whether it's from diabetes, whether it's from high cholesterol, whether it's from arthritis. It's always something. And cancer, which is rampant out there. Now, we all know someone if we ourselves are not suffering. Now, to a large extent, our lifestyle, disobedience is what has caused this rampant outbreak of disease among God's people. And I'm not here referring to those people outside of the world, outside there, who don't know better. It is among God's people who at some point know better. They know better, and the application is just not there. The application and actually doing what we're supposed to do. And we can't do it because it is very difficult. It is very difficult to do. Now, we were brought up consuming one diet, and the change, it seems, is almost impossible for some of us. It's almost impossible, and that's the light. That's the feedback that I get when the feedback I get when this is presented. I can't do this. This is going to kill me. I am going to die. It's not possible all the time. What happens when I need to eat X or Y? How do I consume it? Some of the things that we really think we need to eat, to be honest, we don't need to eat them. You know, if we just need to keep our diet as simple as possible, and you will find that it makes 100% difference in your health. The difference is way supersedes some of the things we eat. At lunchtime on Sabbaths, we sit and we eat all this food. We eat everything that is cooked. We eat our rice, we eat our yams, we eat potatoes, we eat everything. It's all starch, mucus forming food. And these foods are making us sick. And I know we might say, okay, I'm not eating meat. And not eating meat is just one notch. But we need to step up and take it a notch further and keep going, because this is how the growth process occurs. So I am just imploring on us that, you know, attempting, and I'm not telling anybody to go home, and taking on a raw vegan diet is something that we must understand how, and it has to be planned out in a meaningful way, and once it's planned out and organized, it becomes very, very easy. And once you start consuming a diet like this, you're going to find that your taste bud transforms, and the transformation of the taste buds will also reduce the cravings that we have for the heavy starch that we were brought up on, and we think we need to satisfy or to fill the gap that is within the stomach that this small amount of raw food won't. And you will also find that you eat less when you're eating a raw vegan diet, much less, because the food is dense. It is much denser than the regular food that you eat. And when we cook our food, one of the things that we do, we cook all the nutrients out of the food, and then we throw the water away. We boil our bananas, we boil up whatever we're cooking, and then it destroys a lot of the nutrients. We're not drinking the water from the boiled food, and if we have to cook it, it would be better to steam or bake. But if you're boiling anything, you're boiling a big pot of water, you throw the water away, and then you eat the trash. So you're not getting the minerals that is present in the food when you're boiling the food. So those are the disadvantages, and some of the things we don't think about. We are not thinking about it because it is a part of our culture. This is how we were brought up. We boil stuff, we might throw the water away, and we're not thinking, oh, all the nutrients, I just throw it out. You know, so one of the ways that we could conserve on that is by steaming your food, and steaming might take a little longer for something, but if you steam it, you will get more out of it. Wherein, you know, as a raw food person, I eat a lot of raw food, and I think it's the best thing. It is the best thing for your health, for your well-being. It gives you all the energy that you could possibly need in a day to do all the work that you need to do. And I feel energized every day. I don't feel like I want to lay down in the bed and sleep. And I feel like if I don't do enough work throughout the day on a raw food diet, I can't sleep because I'm not tired. I'm used to doing stuff. So I literally have to find something to do. And that is why, you know, like this time of the year, energy level is superb. It's much higher. And some people might say, oh, it's hot, it zaps all my energy, but it doesn't work that way for me. I could go all day, and if I am not really doing strenuous exercise, and I find that I have to exercise in order to be able to go to my bed and sleep, because I will not want to fall asleep until later, and that's not good. So exercising helps to, stimulate the production of those endorphins. And like this time of the year, doing it outside is a great thing to do. Okay, now we're going to go into this section where we look at a raw food and embracing this raw food diet or the raw vegan diet. There are some things that we actually need in order to actually start a raw vegan diet. And I am going to try my best to go as slow as possible so that we will get it. There are some basic equipment that is absolutely necessary if we're going to live in this community, in this part of the sphere, and consume a raw food diet. So the basic equipment that we would need, and I have on top of the list here a food processor, and it becomes necessary because of the society we live in. There are many different types of food processors that exist out there. Any one of them that works is fine. You need a blender. You need basic things. We would have these in our homes, in our kitchen: chopping board, knives, a spiralizer. And this is primarily used by a lot of people for zucchini pasta. And it could be used for all different types of pasta. It's just not just zucchini. It has become renowned for making those spiralized or zucchini pasta, which is a big raw dish in many restaurants and places that we go. We could do many other things. We could make many other types of pasta. We could do squash. We could spiralize the squash, make it into pasta. We could also do beetroots, potatoes. Sweet potatoes is also one of the other popular ones that we spiralize, and we make pasta from it. And a combination of all of those give you a beautiful, one of the most beautiful color in terms of putting it together. So that's predominantly what the spiralizer is used for. You need a nut milk bag, because when you're eating raw, it's absolutely necessary for us to be able to make our own milk. And we call it milk. It looks like milk, so we're going to say milk. So your nut milk. And I want to say that if you buy your almond milk, your cashew milk, your coconut milk, it is not raw. It is processed, it is preserved, so we would not classify it as raw. So it would become necessary for you to make your own milk for whatever purpose, and you make it because you will need to use it at some point, so it becomes necessary to make it. And making milk is very, very simple. It's a very simple process. I don't even bother to make the milk itself anymore, but maybe if I had younger children that needed, it to be made like that, I would make it, but I don't need to. I just put all my nuts that I would use to make my milk in the blender, and if I'm doing a smoothie or whatever I'm doing, I'll just blend it all out and it would have the same effect. So in one of our next classes, we could go over how to make different types of milk using the nuts. And then we all could get to taste and you guys could, see that it's much better than the stabilizers that you buy with a dash of almond in it. It's not, it doesn't really, a lot of our milks that we buy as almond and cashew, and it is loaded with stabilizers and they don't carry the flavor, the real flavor of the milk. If you understand how these are made, even when you buy coconut milk, if you read the label, you're going to see it might have a lot of guar gum, or it just have something that stabilizes it so it looks creamy, and it would, in your mind, it is creamy and it has the flavor, but it's more that than the milk itself. So most of them, that's what it is. So we can plan to make different nut milk, and then that could be one session. Okay, so you need a milk bag or just something that is able to strain when you blend these nuts so that you don't have too much fiber. Depending on what you want, fiber is good. Some people strain it all out and use the fiber to make something else. As for me, I like crackers, and I like the crunching crackers, so maybe I would use, because that's what I use my pulp to do, and I use if I'm making milk, I'll use the fiber. Almond has a lot of fiber. If you do like a cashew milk, it would not have that much fiber in it. It is very creamy. Oh, you need mixing, you need like a grater, you need mixing bowls, and these are basic measuring cups, and you absolutely need a juicer of whatever kind, storage container, and absolutely you need a dehydrator. I'm excited about a new dehydrator that came out. It's a stainless steel dehydrator. I've been watching it. And somebody just made me a present this morning. Okay, I'll just buy you a dehydrator. I'm just very happy. So I got the credit card information to buy the dehydrator. So I am going to buy that dehydrator this afternoon. So I was recommending it to the person, and the person said, oh, I could just buy you one. So I'm going to order 2 dehydrators this evening when I get home. So I will be getting my new dehydrator. It's a Samsung dehydrator, and it's stainless steel right throughout, and it's very quiet. It's like the latest and the best. All right. So I am excited. So, and I just thought about all the reason why a lot of people need a dehydrator, especially people, it's a start, people who are preparing for time of trouble. I mean, we can start, getting in the habit of dehydrating, and you could dehydrate a lot of stuff. Just yesterday I was talking to Pastor Coco, and I was like, okay, I love lamb squatter, so maybe I could dehydrate them and pulverize them and get a powder from it. And that would be one way of preserving it, seeing that I'm not at the point yet where I can freeze dry them, but dehydrating and pulverizing and storing them in airtight containers would be one way of preserving some of these natural goodies that we have existing in the summertime. So that's something that I am seriously, going to invest some time in. You have excess of anything for the summer. I see Michael with a lot of garlic out there. Maybe garlic might not stay, but we could dehydrate them and make garlic powder. And that would be another way of preserving it, and use it in medicines of different kind. And it's not limited. You guys will go out and you buy things like onion powder, you buy all of these, for me in my garden, I have parsley, I have oregano, and you have a lot at the end of the summer, and I'm thinking basil. All of these, they could be dehydrated. So now I'm excited. I really feel like I have so much things to dehydrate, and if you store them in airtight, you dehydrate them, you didn't kill them, when we buy it, we don't even know what we're getting, but this one we actually grow it in our garden, and now we're going to dehydrate it and put it in air tight. And maybe I'll have enough, I could sell some of you guys some of what I dehydrate. But it's everything that you have in excess. If you have onions, if you have sweet peppers, whatever you have, sometimes you have fruits in excess. I watched Michael mulberry tree on the front there with all the mulberry, they just fall off. I didn't see anybody eating them and acting like they're special. So I feel like we got to figure out a way how we could just catch all these fruit when they fall off naturally. Because I've been to the store and I see mulberry dehydrated in a small pack, and it's a good price for it. I'm looking at $8, and I'm like, $8 for this, And we're here sitting and looking at these trees all summers, and we're not doing anything. And I feel that, and I'm saying all of this because these are some of the things that we can dehydrate. And we dehydrate them, we can store them. And once they're stored in airtight containers, they will not go bad. If you dehydrate, I make the flaxseed crackers. That's something that I made, and you guys sampled it. But that cracker could stay, and I'm not talking about in the fridge, it could stay outside of the fridge for over 6 months without going bad, having any mold on it or anything. And that's what I've tried, so I know as a fact. The bagels, it will not stay outside of the fridge for that long because it has more moisture in it. But the more of the moisture we take out of stuff, the longer they will stay. Okay, so these are some of the reasons why everybody needs a dehydrator. And that's just my proposal. It's something that we need to have. If we're in a country, it's easy where we have sunlight all year. Dehydrators doesn't have to be electrical. We could use the sun's energy. It can be made very, very simple. And I've seen it. I was in Jamaica and I was making some recommendation for different people who wants to, they have a lot of mangoes. I'm like, this can be dehydrated. It's not that difficult to make one. And, you get the glass and you make just from board, and water can drip under, and as long as flies or anything and air can pass through, it's simple. So if we're doing it somewhere where there's a lot of sunshine, we don't need the electric ones, but we live in a country where it becomes necessary that we utilize that right now, but we need a dehydrator. So the things that we need food processor, we need a blender, we need a dehydrator, and we need just containers, milk bags, and we need mason jars as well. It becomes necessary because we don't cook our beans, we sprout our beans. So to sprout the beans, we need, and you could use any containers, it doesn't have to be a mason jar. But these are things that become basic instrument that you need in your house, okay, when you are doing a raw vegan diet. Now, I just want to say the reasons why we need to be on a raw vegan diet. We obtain quite a few benefits from being on a raw vegan diet. And the first one is because God said so. That's first and foremost. It is His plan for our life to sustain our health. Now, the big picture is to sustain health and for healing. We are consistently sick. All of us are sick one way or the other because we are sinful and we are disobedient on top of it. So our diet, a raw vegan diet, this is the diet the Lord gives us. Now, when we eat raw, our enzymes are preserved. The enzymes within the food that we consume raw assist the digestive process. Now, enzymes is everything in our body. We might hear of enzymes and it's something that we take for granted, but enzymes are very powerful. It is enzymes that make our brain function normally. It's enzymes that enable us to breathe. If we don't have enzymes, we cannot breathe. If we don't have enzymes, we are not able to swallow the food that we eat. We're not able to digest the food that we eat. Now, if we are not able to digest our food because there is limited enzymes, then our food will not be digested. Will there be absorption? No, so absorption will be marginal. Now, what is happening? We are not absorbing, we are not digesting, so our food is fermenting inside of us, and sometimes it ferments, and some of us, we have difficulty even passing this out, so we get a lot of flatulence. So this is what happens to you. I guarantee you, if you sprout your beans and consume them sprouted, you will never have flatulence. A lot of people cook their beans and say, oh, cooked bean gives me a lot of gas. And that's because there is nothing to digest the beans. The beans are not being digested in the way it should, and it is high in protein. It stays in the body for a longer period of time. So if you have to cook your beans, and I would just prefer if you don't, it's better to sprout them and get used to eating them sprout. It depends. It wouldn't take more than about 5 days to sprout the bean, 3 to 5 days, and it just depends on the beans you're sprouting. If you're doing something like if you're doing mung beans, those will sprout in 2 days. Mung beans, yes. Different beans will take a longer time. Some of them take longer, some of them take less time. You know, I am still struggling to sprout onions. That's my all-time favorite sprouts, but it's just, I still struggle to sprout it. I just don't know. I can't do more than a small portion and get them sprouted. And there is also a machine that you could use to sprout your beans. You could just put it in there. I have one of them. It's a real nice, convenient machine. You just spread your beans out and the water comes up intermittently. It wets them, and in 2 to 3 days they just start sprouting. You remove them, you wash them, and then you store them in the fridge. And it's really good. And you could get layers for it, so you could put different beans, so you could put one on one layer and another. And it has compartments as well. I'll bring it and I'll share it with you guys one of these days. It has different compartments in it, so you could put different beans, because they all have different flavors, you know, but it would be good to have an idea like how long these take, so you don't put, because if you put some that, you know, don't sprout within the same time, maybe after a while they'll start breaking down. So you want to put the ones that will sprout within a certain time. You change the water every 2 days, but it is a phenomenal, convenient way of just sprouting in New York City, especially in the winter when, you know, things are just all shut down. Right. So, and I am still on enzymes and preserving enzyme, which is, as I said, it is enzyme that keep the heart functioning. It's enzyme that keep the liver, every single structure of your body needs these enzymes to function. Okay, the phytonutrients that we get, and as enzymes, and it truly, raw food truly nourishes your body. And we could just piggyback on the fact that the enzymes are present. And the fact that these enzymes are present you're truly being nourished because the food is being digested. The digestive process is at A1. And I'm going to ask you, guys, when you eat raw foods, how long does it take you to go to the bathroom? Do you take 2 days? It just runs through your system because the process is much faster. It's like a force of energy, and you don't have to sit there after lunch and fall asleep. Your body receives that energy like directly just go across the cell membrane even once you put it in your mouth. You could feel the life force in the food that the Lord gives us to eat. But I don't know where the thought came from that we need to kill the food before we eat it. I don't know. It must be sin that tells us that it has to be dead before we could eat it. Right, Michael? Yes. Yes, and that's when it tastes good, right? Because if it's not dead, it doesn't taste good. And that's what our taste bud tells us. That's how we're enslaved all our lives. So we got to change that. We got to lift that slavery from the taste buds and truly taste the life of food that we consume when we consume them raw. Okay, so we're getting the, it is truly nourishing our body. We are getting the vitamins and the minerals that we need. The vitamins are we're getting maximum vitamins when we eat raw foods, the phytonutrients. And when you steam your vegetables, and some of us really cook the daylight out of our vegetables, at the end of the day, they are brown. They are not supposed to be brown when you cook them. If they are that brown, you kill everything that add life to your body. So the only time it's supposed to be brown is when it comes out on the other end because of the deposit from the liver that changes the color. But eating it brown is pointless. So we kill all the phytonutrients that add life. It is that green chlorophyll that helps to build the blood of mankind. And there's a reason why God made green blood in the plant and red blood in animals. He didn't make the plants to have red blood. You ever seen a plant chopped with? No, it's green, that concentrated sun powder that you need to give you, to energize you. Now, your cravings will go away because your nutrient requirements are met. And as I said before, craving comes from deficiencies. Your body is deficient in nutrients, and as a result of that, you crave your starches, you crave your bread, your rice. You must have some rice which is warm and cooked. No, you don't need it. It's not absolutely necessary. We have to get to that point where we can subject our appetite, just control our passion by our will, so that and if we can't get to that point, I don't know how we're going to make it to the next level where we can become spotless and be ready to be translated, or like the 144,000. We are not going to make it there. This is something that we know, we have heard over and over and over, and I still hear the buts. And this is the reason why we're here today, and I'm going over this, and I want us to understand that this is not just something that we will choose to do or not do. This is something that we have to will ourselves to do, and it becomes necessary in order for us to be able to do all the other things that we need to do to make it in the kingdom of heaven. Our salvation and our diet is like they walk hand in hand. And it might sound crazy, but if we can control what we consume, what else are we going to control? Our temper? How are we going to control our humility? How are we going to control anything? We can't. Okay, so it stopped the craving, and that will stop us from eating in between meals, because a lot of the times when we crave, we tend to eat in between meals. We have our breakfast and they say, oh, I'm feeling, I feel a little peckish. I feel like I could eat something sweet. I feel like I could eat something salt. I feel like I could eat a fruit. It helps stop craving and help us to control our desire to eat every minute. Now, the energy and vitality that I've been talking about from eating a raw diet will be there for you to experience. And the only way you could know is to experience this. I cannot tell you how much energy you are going to get unless you do it and experience it yourself. You will lose weight in the process if you're overweight. And as I always said, if you don't have weight to lose, you will not lose weight. Weight is lost only when you have weight to lose. Okay, now, and it balances the body's pH, which is extremely important for maintaining your health. Your health is maintained. There's a direct link between the pH of the body and the health of the body. So your health is maintained when your pH is balanced. I know a lot of us have heard where we talk about if we drink our alkaline water, the pH of our body will be alkaline, and if it's alkaline, that might be something you hear, then microbes that cause disease will not be able to live in that environment. And that is true. There's some element of truth in there, but one of the things that we want to be cautious of, and for us, it would be good because if our body becomes too alkaline, it could cause us to get a little bit weak and you lose energy. So that's something that you probably want to pay attention to, maybe try to test your pH. I think we have done look at pH and how to test your pH if you really want to actually find what your body's pH is. And most important, it helps in the healing process. Any disease that you are suffering from, any kind of disease that your body is suffering from, in 99% of the cases, given a raw diet, it will help in the healing process. A raw diet will help in the healing process. And that's very big on the list of reasons why. So if we're suffering from disease, any kind of disease, part of what we could do to help in the healing process is to take the pressure off the body, as much pressure as you can, and supply the body with food that are rich in enzyme instead of killing the food and giving the body and say, oh, it is too harsh for us to digest the fruits and the vegetables, so we got to cook them so that they can go in the stomach easier. And that's pretty much what it does. It gets to the stomach easier. And we have gotten to this point where we have become so lazy. I have a daughter and she don't like to chew. So if it's not soft, she don't want to eat it. She will eat applesauce, and these are the things that she likes to eat. And this is why in our society today, if it's hard and coarse and you have to bite too much, it's not something that a lot of people want to eat. If you have to chew too much, they don't want to eat it. So the food has to be soft so they could swallow it, and that's it. They don't have to think about it too much. And that's part of the reason why a lot of people don't like to eat rough food. And it do us more good. We get a lot of exercise, and some people will bite and chew and say, my mouth is hurting me. And I know I've heard it, but it's something that we have to overcome. We have to get past it. I mean, in times of trouble, which is right around the corner, and some of us might not see it as being around the corner, we have to try to start adjusting now. It's an adjustment process. Okay, so we start now and stop complaining. Stop looking at all the negative and look at all the positive. Look at how you're benefiting. Look at how you're preparing yourself for time of trouble. You know, and by the way, you know, I have a hand juicer. We could get hand everything, you know. If it becomes necessary in time of trouble, we might not be on the grid, so we might not have any of these, the electrical implements might not be working, so we got to start figuring out how we can access these things and have them. You know, if we're thinking about country living, going out there in the parks, wherever we go, you know, and you just start practicing to use our hand juicer, our hand food processor, all of these things, so that, you know, if we need to use them, because some things some people might not be able to consume, but if you break it up, they'll be able to. So it becomes necessary. Okay, so our raw vegan diet, one of the big concern for a lot of people is, where am I going to get my protein from? Right, Michael? The protein. How am I going to build my muscles? Right. So I felt like speaking about protein was something that is necessary for us to understand that we will never be protein deficient when we are on a raw vegan diet. We will be strong from eating broccoli. We could just eat broccoli and get all the protein we need. Now, all our green leafy vegetables, they do give us a certain amount of protein. Now, we talk about the enzymes in the food. And our food are alive, so they have enzymes. What do you think makes enzyme? Enzymes are what? Enzymes are protein. They are biological catalysts, but they are protein. Okay, so enzymes are made up of protein. So within the food that we consume, 90% of what we consume has protein in it, as long as we have some enzyme, because enzymes are protein. Now, our bodies also need protein, but all the protein that we think we need, we don't need it, because we don't utilize half of what we consume. So our green leafy vegetables gives us protein. That's one source. We have an entourage of nuts and beans. And once you sprout your beans, you're getting double. You're getting the enzymes that's alive, and you're getting all of the protein that's in there that is activated when you sprout them. Okay, so those are protein. Now, you get protein from your nuts. So all of those are protein. Now, in your body, you need protein for enzyme, protein for antibodies. And antibodies is what your body makes to help to fight infection. So usually when you're exposed to any kind of virus, anything, so let's say you have chicken pox, you have measles, you have mumps, whatever, you are exposed to it, so you acquire an immunity, and what the body does is make an antibody. And it's like a chip that is inside of your body, and it stays there, and the chip, it's locked like a, it's like a lock. It's because you have receptors in each of these antibodies. The receptors are, it's like a lock thing. And that is why when you build an antibody for a disease, whether it's the flu, you can't get the same flu virus again. Because it is locked. This is how beautiful and wonderfully the Lord has made us. So it is locked, so you won't get it. So antibodies are made by protein is the building blocks. And if we were to go down the line, transport, it functions in the transportation system. The regulatory system, the hormones in your bodies are made by protein. Hormones are protein. Okay, and they are the channels of communication in our body. It's the hormones, and these are slow, and your neurological method of communication, your neurons are also made by protein. And the structural covering and support for the skin, the tendon, the hair, the nails, the bones, all of those are made of protein. And for your muscles, the cilia, the flagella, all of those, the cilia that lines the walls of the intestine, the stomach going up, all of those are protein. But in essence, if we were to really think about it literally, we are a big blob of protein. That's what we are. And that is why protein synthesis is such a big thing. And I don't know if that's where it stems from, that we need a lot of protein and in order to sustain us. But we must make protein to give our skin color. It must make protein to maintain our DNA, for all the different functionalities of the body. It's all protein. So people tend to worry about, where am I getting my protein from? So our bodies are not deficient in any of these when we eat all the raw foods that God gave us to eat. We should never and will never be deficient if it's done properly. Okay? So protein, and these are some examples of protein, things that we get protein from. And if you look up there, you could say almost everything that you would consume in a raw diet. Almost every single thing that you would take in a raw diet. You get it from watercress, you get protein from mushrooms, you get it, it's in everything, kale. So it's not something that we should even worry about. You're getting more protein than you need. And there are some people who claim, okay, they are vegan and they come to me and they have a lot of protein in their system. So what happens is that if we're not and excess protein is more harmful than good, because that's what leads to the destruction of our kidneys. Our kidneys get destroyed, and it's primarily via the liver suffer as well. And when we went through the presentation on the liver and the kidney, I don't know if you can recollect from those, but these organs are vital, they are critical, and they must be functioning optimally. When you eat a raw diet, you don't put pressure on these organs. They are able to work and function optimally. Your liver becomes very tired and exhausted, and once it becomes tired and exhausted, you have a backup. And predominantly when we eat a diet that is loaded with cooked food, the liver have to constantly be working to removing this excess sugar or glucose that your body don't need and store it. So it removes the sugar, it has to remove the hormones. That's some of us, we have these hormonal imbalance, and they are floating around in the bloodstream, and the liver has the job to remove it. All the food that you eat, it goes straight to the liver, the hepatic portal vein, and the liver have to purify it. So we put a lot of stress on our liver before it goes throughout the body. So the liver has a lot of work to do. When you eat a raw diet, the work that the liver has to do is way less than when you eat a diet that is full of cooked food. So it takes the stress off the liver, it takes the stress off the kidneys, and those are two of the big organs. The pancreas is another one that suffers a lot when we eat a lot of cooked and mucus-forming food, because the membranes become clogged. So protein is not something that we should ever worry about. I've never seen in all my practice anyone who has low amino acid for anything. I've never seen a low amino acid anywhere. It is always high. And none of the amino acid is ever low. And I'm telling you, when I say ever low, and they are always shooting above the charts for whatever reason. So we get protein from almost everything we eat in a raw diet, so it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, now this is our daily requirement for protein. So for if we're going to do the calculation, we need 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, or we need 0.36 grams per pound. And if we're working it out on an average, because we don't have, everybody is not average, so we could not say we are going to have 56 grams of protein per day for an average sedentary man. I mean, not everybody is average. Maybe most of us here today is average, but if you would need to calculate it based on the body weight. Okay, and 46 grams per day for average sedentary woman. Okay, so in essence, we don't need a lot. Okay, so that's for protein. Now, we looked at why we need a protein and what our requirements are. Now, fat is something that we outcast, and I really didn't want to outcast fat, but it's something that we really outcast, but it's something that is absolutely necessary. And when we consume a raw vegan diet, we won't be deficient in fat, but it's very important that we keep our fat level up, because there are some people who outcast a lot of our good fats, and that could result in damaged cell membrane, because the cell membrane is fat. It's 3 layers of fat. And our brain tissues, these are fat, and our tissues in general need fat. Fat is what creates the steroids that our body need in order to make some of the hormones that we need. So fat is very important. It's just that too much of it is, and we should never ever, we normally is never deficient in fat. In fat at all. And as I said, it is always associated with being harmful. We need fat, and it is the source of energy, so it provides us some source of energy. A fatty acid that our bodies cannot make is important, a source of, so a component of the cell walls and the cell membrane. So that's important, and it is also very important in protecting our organs, the body organs. Okay, the fat intake, we need 44 grams to 77 grams of fat per day if we eat at 2,000 calories a day, which most of us don't. It's always more than 2,000 calories per day. We'd have to count calories in order to determine how much we're consuming, but in most cases, we all go over 2,000 calories. All of us, no matter how small it might seem, like, okay, I'm gonna count it, I'm eating this, doing that. You make a smoothie, you're probably making half of the two, that's like 1,000 calories per day. So we get in a lot of calories. So, and I felt like these are some of the minerals that our body need on a daily basis. And I'm not going to go through all of them. There are many charts on the internet that you could find that gives you an idea of your daily requirement of minerals that you need. And these are some of them, and you can look at them to see what's the requirement for me for selenium. What's my daily requirement for vitamin D? And you can look them up. see the daily requirement. It's something, I could make copies and give to you guys in the future, but I just didn't get to do that this time. So what I'll try to do, I'll try to make the copies so that you could have it, something you could refer to, because some of these, we just take them for granted, but it's something that we need to pay attention to. When you go to your doctor, doctors they don't normally look at your nutritional or requirement or anything like that. They don't test to see if you're deficient in any nutrients. They just, okay, what is your problem? And they might give you some medication that will alleviate the problem for a day. But in most cases, as we have done before in this forum, we look at nutritional deficiencies. And for each of these, wherever we're deficient, there are indicators that tells us, and it becomes necessary for us to build up on these nutrients. So we want to pay attention, and as I said, I will do some copies of the nutrients, what they do, and your requirements so that you will know. I think I gave you something like this already, so I don't know why I'm bothering that I'm going to make copies. I did give you, yes. And these are additional nutrients, and some of them you will hear about more than some. For our B12 for vegans, raw vegans or vegan in general, we always hear that our B12 will be low. We will suffer a B12 deficiency. But God doesn't make mistake at all. I don't think so. He always has something in place for us to, I don't think Adam and Eve would have ever been deficient in B12 if they lived in the Garden of Eden and was obedient to what the plan of what God had planned. So one of the theories is that if your B12 is manufactured on your tongue, and if you wake up in the morning, we're all taught that we need to get up and brush our teeth and wash our mouth before we eat. But it's backwards. We are not supposed to brush our teeth and wash our mouth before you eat, because you make your B12 on your tongue when you sleep at night. And it would be a good idea to try that way of making your B12 and preserving that within your body so that you don't become deficient, because according to the theories that you get B12 from animal products, or and if you're not consuming it, if you're not consuming the animal products, then you're going to be deficient, and that's one of them that is heightened up. But you could try that method of obtaining your B12. Okay, so those are pretty much the vitamins and minerals that we actually, our bodies are made up of. Let's put it that way. This is what makes up our body. And with all interest in mind, we need to try to maintain the nutrients. Now, as part of what the objectives were, we were supposed to look at why we eat vegan, what's the benefit from it. And the other part was to identify the equipments that we need, and then to prove that we won't get deficient from eating a raw vegan diet. And then we have a 7-day meal plan. And I did this 7-day meal plan, and this is day 1 of the meal plan, and I was trying to figure out how can I present this in a way that but this is I will not go through the 7-day. What I could do is print it out and give it to you guys, because I feel like it's very monotonous. We could look at what you could eat for 7 days, but the way it's done here, I would be standing here going over all the different things that you'll eat in 7 days and looking at the nutritional benefits from it and all of that. And I think that, so I will go over. So this is 1 day. And for breakfast, I recommend my favorite antioxidant berry smoothie. And that's the first thing for breakfast. Now, for me, as a raw vegan, I could have that for the whole day and nothing else. Now, but conventionally, if you're making a transition from a 3 meal per day diet, you might say, oh, after I have this, I'm going to be hungry. But this smoothie is loaded, and I will show you the recipe. So it's antioxidant smoothie, and then you have, for lunch, you will have a massage kale salad with almond hummus. And then for dinner, you're going to have a tarragon macadamia goat cheese, and it's macadamia cheese. And then you will have that with the raw bagels, and that will be one day. Now, this is a lot for one day, but if you're transitioning, this is how you're going to start. Now, this is our antioxidant berry smoothie. So we're having, in this smoothie, we have blueberries, raspberries, pomegranate, spinach, flaxseed, chia seed. You could have one or the other. Sesame seed, pumpkin seed, sunflower seed, walnut, lime juice, and I like lime juice. It's not, you don't have to put, I just like tart. I don't want my berries to be all just smooth and sweet, or, you know, I like it. And all of these ingredients you'll put in your blender, and you will blend them out until it's very smooth. Now, a smoothie like this, are we going to get our protein from this? Are we getting our vitamins and minerals? Can you see anywhere you getting your vitamins and minerals? Yes, so you will be getting your protein, your fats, your vitamins and minerals from this, just this. So sometimes I use the juice from the store, but if I can get the pomegranate juice, I will juice make the fruit, because the quality is much better. The quality from the juice is much, much better. It's like superb. There is something in it that you don't get when you buy the juice. And that's my theory, because I've experienced both. I use the juice, but I prefer to juice it. And once they become available in abundance, I will buy and juice. Yeah, and I'll sometimes store the juice in the freezer. I don't know, sometimes I know it can be expensive, but I used to watch the price of stuff that I buy to eat, but I don't anymore. I just buy it if I can afford it. I'll just buy it, because when I measure the benefits with, you know, it's not worth it. So I just believe spend them. I can't eat it, so I spend it. I buy the food I need to maintain my health. I know the benefit. I just can't put a price on health, and that's how I feel. It outweighs the benefit of the cell phone, so I just cut the phone off. Yeah, so okay, so for that nutritional drink, we're looking at the value. We're looking at the nutritional benefits of it. And that's what I'm telling you. It's a difficult thing to do, because then you have to separate the stuff. You got to look at the pomegranate. You got to look at the nuts. You got to look at everything to see, okay, I'm going to compile this one as this is the protein, this is the vitamins, this is the minerals. And that is why I'm trying to say it's a lot of work to do each of these and look at how you benefit. So you're getting like 59 milligrams of calcium, There's a way to calculate it. That's the yeah, but it's a lot of brain work. Your vitamin A, and when you do formulation, because I had to do formulation for animals, and it transfers into formulation for human diet. It's the same fundamental principles that you use to do the calculation, but it's a lot of calculate. Yes.
We had a quick question online, which was in regards to eating 2 meals a day. Someone was basically asking that if they go raw with 2 meals a day, can that be malnutritious? Now, that might not be malnutritious, but how can you go raw with 2 meals a day? How? I guess that's what you're kind of looking at.
Okay. You could go raw with 2 meals a day and not be malnourished. It's no malnourishment with 2 meals a day, and having 3 meals a day, and it's one of the things that I contemplated, but I did this with 3 meals a day because of the transition. So it's the process of transiting from 3 meals a day from cooked or whatever it is to raw. So we replace the 3 meals that's cooked with raw, and then if you're transitioning, then you could go from 2 meals to 3 meals, from 3 meals to 2 meals. Now, it's very important that we understand how to formulate what we're consuming so that we don't feel like we are not getting enough energy from what we are consuming, even though that has never ever been the experience for anyone. It's all a mental process, and in this transition, I would recommend that you understand formulation. So you got to know what you're getting your protein from. You got to know what you're getting your vitamins and your minerals from. And there isn't too much question, as I have said. But some people might work out vigorously. And if you're working out vigorously, you might want to up on on some of the things that you would consider protein. So you could up on your nuts, your Brazilian nuts. You could up on your almond nuts. And you can prepare them in many different ways to make it interesting. So putting your meal together, like for this program, we have breakfast, this antioxidant smoothie. And that smoothie, if we look at it, it's going to suffice quite a bit of minerals and vitamins, including protein. So we're getting up to 10 grams of protein, and that's from 1 serving of this, which is an 8-ounce cup. So you're taking 8 ounces in 1 cup, and you take 8 ounces in another cup. You're getting 20 grams of protein right there, and that's more than half your daily requirement of protein. But the process of making this transition requires that we are mentally prepared, and what I do recommend is a cleansing process first. So the cleansing has a way of eliminating those. You cleanse your body, it is removing some of those microbes, because we have a lot of microbes in our system, in our gut, that dictate to the brain what you should do. And part of the cleansing process, get rid of these. Get rid of these microbes, these parasites that you feed every day. They are the one that dictates your life. They tell you what they want to eat, and that's what you crave for. So getting rid of those before you start a raw vegan diet like this, and also cleansing, rebuild your cell with the right quality food. So if you're going to go, you cleanse, you clean out those microbes, you clean the cell membrane, you clean the system, and your immune system start, and once that is clean and you're eating raw, what is happening takes 21 days to repair all your cells. So you replace them with raw foods instead of cooked food. So the memory on the DNA, the memory on the cells would be, okay, these are the cells that I am made of. And that is why when a lot of people go on a cleansing program after 21 days, 30 days, you will find that your body just start rejecting some things. And some of us are so cold and wicked to our body. When our body rejects it, we say, okay, no, I want this. And you force it in. And eventually your body just go right back to where you were initially. So you force it on your system. But your system is saying, I don't want this. It's not good for me. It doesn't make me feel right. And if we listen to our body, we will be in a better position, because it's not in the gut anymore. It's coming from here, because it's all about you. And you got to stop. It's the culture. It's where you came from. It's all of that that is influencing what you think you should eat. And you got to use that will to overcome. Yes, go ahead.
I will really suggest people try to understand. When you are changing your diet, you are changing the constitution of your whole body. The body will suffer a little bit of the crisis of transition. So I will suggest that people should not be afraid to change, but to be very careful about how they do the transition. If you are 100% cook eater, go to 75 and 20. That 75 cook, 20 raw. And then you move to 50-50. Then you move to 75 raws, 25 cook. And then you go up there. That's one way. The other way, as she said, you cleanse the body first. Because if you don't cleanse, you are going to suffer. If you start raw food, the raw going to detox you. It's going to make you very weak. Because your liver will be detoxed, your lymph will be cleansed. For the first couple of weeks and months, you will feel weak. Say, oh, this raw diet is not working for me. It's making me sick. No, it's not making you sick. It's healing you. And the body is suffering from healing crisis. Now, also for the raw, it's not the quantity really, but it's the quality of the food you're eating. If you eat a bowl of salad, you think you eat a lot of food. When the body processes all of that, just a little bit you're going to have. But if you juice, first of all, the body will not need to spend energy to process all that fiber. The juice gets into your bloodstream in the next 20 to 30 minutes. So the quality of how you eat, the education, the nut. There is some nut you might not be able to digest very well because your organs still be very weak. So you're not healing, so you are in a process. But if you take, for example, sesame seed, you sprout sesame seed, you make a smoothie with that, you add some berries, all of that to it. That is a powerful raw meal right there. So the education is very important, and I suggest that anyone want to do raw, have some little education, even possible, someone who let the person coach you for at least 2 months. You need that, otherwise you are going to do some mistake that might really hurt you. You have a sister want to change the diet. She just, I want to change diet. I'm going raw. Say, be careful, go slow first. She goes straight for raw. The next thing we find is she have a serious stomach problem. She's suffering until today. You understand? So sometimes it can hurt you. Be very patient and let someone who have experience to coach you through the process. And get a good equipment also. Don't have any kind of juicer. Don't have any kind of blender. Some of the blender you blend the stuff, but still have too much fiber still in it. It's not really broken down. Juicer like vitamins can really help you. Like blender will really help you. That's a blender, sorry. But you need a juicer. Get a good juicer like Green Star juicer. So the quality of food is very important, quality and quantity. So if you're just eating raw, some people say, I eat raw. What do you eat? I eat one apple, one banana. But you're going to be sick. You are going to be sick because it's poor. Because this food they put out there, most of that very nutrient deficient. So you have to know how to concentrate the food, to concentrate what you're going to eat. The sprout is the key. You can't be doing raw without sprout. Sprout beans, sprout seed, they are very, very powerful. And you must consume at least a quart of green juice. And the green juice, also people are making a mistake. What's the green juice? They use a green apple and then celery sticks, and they put some little things that it's a green juice. No, it's not. It's greenish. Green, you must have enough of this like dark leafy, like collard green, dandelion, kale. If you juice these things and you drink it, believe me, the body will help. Don't drink a lot at the same time. Drink 8 ounces only. Help the body drink, use that and drink again and drink again. Go slowly. But the coaching part is very important. Do not run for raw food without a proper education.
Okay. He has the mic. Yes, you could go ahead.
One of the things I always heard is that when you're doing a raw diet or predominantly raw diet, is that you have to know to combine food properly, because food not combined properly can cause more damage versus you going on a raw diet. So when we're doing would this be something that you touch along as we're doing the raw diet, like the proper combination of food?
Okay. Understanding formulation and food combination is very critical, very key in transition from transition into a raw diet. But it's not just for a raw diet that it's critical. It's also critical. It's important in every facet. Whether you're eating, whatever you're eating now, if it's a cooked diet you're consuming, you need to understand the combination. And as your question is if it's something that we will touch, yes, I will most definitely. That might have to be a whole day presentation on just food combination. So that's something that we could, work on. Yes, so the combination is important. And what we're looking at here is some examples, because as long as we have an understanding and we feel convicted that this is the way to go, it's when we start. And I do believe that most of us here, because we've been looking at least have some understanding of what a raw diet for a day looks like. Okay, and if we're making a salad, it's not just romaine lettuce and and tomatoes. That's not like a salad. It's just it has minerals in it, but it's more watery, and that is not dense enough. So one of the key things in eating a raw diet is that we eat more dense food. And the food is so dense when you consume it, it takes a longer time to process and you don't get hungry at all very early. And you will find that you have your endurance. So it's like when you compare the animals. So those animals that are herbivores, they eat only grass. They could endure for a longer distance. They are some of the biggest animals out there. Okay, so they have real big bones. They could run much, might not be as fast as the animals that are meat eaters. So if you look at the lion and the jaguar and all these animals that eat the herbivores, they will rip apart and eat the meat, but they can't run for very long. They burn out easily. So it's the same thing with us. If we are consuming a diet that we're eating meat and cooked food and all these dead food, your endurance is going to be less. So your energy level is going to be less. as opposed to if you're eating a raw vegan diet and you're consuming all the green leafies. If you're eating romaine lettuce and tomatoes, that's not a salad. In order to make it a complete salad, or you could, that salad could be, I don't even know, because I wouldn't put it as an appetizer. I wouldn't put it anywhere on the table for a salad. It's just not a salad. So in order to make a salad which would give you all the nutritional needs that you need in just one meal, as I said, when you do formulation, you got to think about where you're getting what from. And that's the key. You could make one single meal, like you have one smoothie that's going to give you all that you need, your nutritional needs. And if you take 4 glasses, 8-ounce glass of that single smoothie, your 2,000 calorie intake for the day is already gone, and you have all your nutrient supply, everything that you're supposed to get. And if you're one of the lazy ones who don't want to chew the salad, then you could just drink a smoothie. It makes life so much easier. You know, right, Pastor Cuckoo? Yeah, so you make your salad. So there are some people who eat salads and like salad because they like to chew. And some people would just prefer to drink a smoothie, and that makes it easier. Right, so you include all these things in there. So you have some watercress, you have some kale, you have radish. So you have things that are spiky, you have onions, you have avocado, you have cabbage, zucchinis, walnuts, pine nuts, olive oil. This is loaded. This is like a time bomb waiting to explode. Yeah, so this is everything you need for the day if you have that for breakfast. And there's another thing. When you eat a raw vegan diet, there is no breakfast thing or lunch thing or dinner thing. Anything can be eaten any time of the day. So there is no specification as to what you eat. The animals don't get up and say, oh, I'm eating, it's lunch. They just eat grass, right? They eat green. So it's the same fundamentals. We just isolate things and put them in categories and call it breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But when you eat raw vegan, there's no breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You have a smoothie and you want to eat it for dinner, it's fine. You want to eat your salad for breakfast, which is outside of the box for most people, but it's breakfast. For me, that's a breakfast. I eat that, I'm good. I don't need anything else for the day. I just need water and I'm good. You know, some people might not be able to do that, but I'm saying there is no separation, no categorization of anything as right.
What about liquids? Like if you have to drink liquids, should you not drink that first and then do any kind of smoothies or salads after? Like if you have herbal teas and lemon water should be first, I think.
Okay.
And then like if you do herbal teas or berry juices, should that be like at the beginning?
Okay.
And also, I learned from Pastor Coco, if you're dealing with a sick patient, that you should give patients things that digest faster, like, and then you move up to things that they will have to, the body will have to work to digest.
Okay.
The whole thing is,
Use the mic.
okay, for example, if you're following a program, somebody's very weak, he needed to be taking medicine, taking everything, the food, the juice, all of that. If you get the salad first, you're going to take a time to process all of that fiber through your system. Then this will bring some delay for the next thing to take. So to avoid all of that delay, it's better to start with things that can be absorbed faster, that you can put the other things on time. So you start with the fluid, like lemon juice, and then herbal teas, then later on juice itself, like the green juice. Because green juice, you drink it in the next 20-30 minutes because it's already digested, it's gone. Then later on smoothie. Smoothie depends what is in it. If you have a lot of seed, if the seed sprouts or not. If it sprouts, it will be digested fast, you have a lot of answer. If it's not sprouted, it's going to stay there for a long time also. So it's better if you're following a program to go from the easiest to digest to the longest to digest. So the longer will come at the last. And you, most of the time, by 4 or 5, take the last one, you have a whole time until now you finish digesting before you go to bed. So it's helped to follow properly how the body absorb and use. So it's a little bit different from someone have just a regular life. Dealing with patients a little bit different from someone who just living,
Well, if someone is sick, as Pastor Coco just says, I mean, it's a totally different thing when we're dealing with a client that has ailment. Now, if you're sick and, if I'm dealing with someone who is critically sick, I would not actually give them a diet, start with breakfast being a salad. It would be a different thing. It just depends on what their ailment would be. So instead of giving them something like this, I would juice all of this. It would be in the form of a juice. And then, you might do teas, but I will combine everything in one thing. So if it's going to be tea, it's going to be all combined, and it's going to be, you put whatever mixture that you make from the tea in the juice. And you could drink all day or drink until midday, and that would supply all the nutrients in the same breath. When you're sick, you don't need a lot of concentrated nutrients. Like you need protein, but you don't need to have as much. You just need enough for repair and sustenance, okay, because your level of activity is less. And then you need the herbs to help with promotion of healing, and you need the fast energy. So giving someone who is sick, and what we are doing here, it's not based on any, we're doing a transition for people who are not sick. If you're sick, it's a different thing. We'd have to know what the sicknesses are, how we're going to formulate specifically for that individual based on their ailment. Because it's not everything you do or give an individual. It is not all the vegetables you're just going to throw on them when they're sick. It just depends on the type of ailment. You have selected her vegetables that you will give to someone who might be having a stomach issue or a digestive issue. So you got to pick out what would be best and then combine them and use those as the primary juice with aid in mind that they will get all the nutrients they need. So when we're doing stuff, unless we are specific and we say, okay, this is specifically for someone who has a respiratory disorder. Now we're doing general transition, right? So it's just a general transition that we're doing here for the diet. Okay, so as I said, I could do a salad for breakfast and I'll be fine. Exactly. So that would work for me. And then if I'm going to drink anything, I'd have to wake up very early and drink whatever I need to drink before I eat my salad. And that's one of the things, because you don't want to have them all combined in one space at the same time, because we don't eat and drink. So we need the digestive process to occur in the way it should. So we don't have the drink and the eating, so we got to wake up a little earlier and have what we need to have before we have this salad for breakfast. Okay? Now we're looking at the calories and we're looking at the nutritional, the nutrients component of this salad, and it is loaded, it's packed, and we're talking about a serving, right? So, and as I said, this just compartmentalizing this and this, looking at what is in it or that gives all the nutrients, it takes a lot of calculation to do this. So, I just wanted to show that we can consume one salad and get everything that we need in terms of nutrients. And in defense of raw vegan diet, we might think that we are not able to supply all the needs from eating a meal. And I do eat one meal per day, and I am fine. I don't feel like I'm losing energy. I don't feel like I need to eat every second, and my energy level is at the top of the chart. And even if I'm exercising, it's the same thing. So I don't have a problem with energy. And I tell you, if I get up and eat one of these salad or drink my smoothie for breakfast, I'll have the smoothie. And I don't want you to get me wrong. I'm not having 8 ounces of smoothie and that's going to last me for the whole day. I would probably have 16 to 24 ounces. I'm good. And then after, I drink water and I'm fine. I don't need to eat every 5 minutes or 3 meals a day. Okay, so I'll have the smoothie for the day, and when I have salad in the morning, the salad is packed. I don't need anything else but water for the rest of the day. It just makes me thirsty. That's it. And nothing else. For one day, okay. Then. Yes.
You can do like 1/4 of green juice. And then you
Use the mic.
Let's say you want to eat 1 meal a day, for example. That's for someone who is really into these things. You have 1/4 of green juice from dark leafy green juice. And then you sprout sesame seed or any other good seed. And you add it to it. You can add some sea moss to it and other stuff, and you blend the whole thing. Believe me, you drink that stuff, your body doesn't need anything more for the whole day. You don't need it. You have everything there. So it's about education. I highly recommend people really read, educate, and have someone who already doing this thing to coach you. Maybe for just a month to have the knowledge you need. Don't run to this thing without knowledge. You are going to get yourself in serious trouble. Very important. No, we're talking about if you don't, it's not about have to. But if I need to travel somewhere sometime, I take something, I just make that. I'm not going to drink that, fine. It depends.
Okay. So in defense, and we're still on day 1, where this is our macadamia cheese, or goat cheese, as you would call it, and this is really very, very delicious. No, this is macadamia. It's tarragon, but they just call it that. It probably tastes like goat cheese, but it's, my kids love this one with the crackers. It's really nice. So no, don't have no. It's just macadamia. Where's the recipes?
Because you are expensive.
And it's very simple. It doesn't take a lot. You just need the probiotics, the macadamia, and you put it in the food processor. You add the tarragon, which is finely chopped after, but you got to leave it for a couple days for it to, the microbes to grow. And it's very nice. The kids love this one. Yeah, right. I have all these recipes with the instruction and everything. I could make copies, but I just didn't do that today. So I'll make the copies for you guys, or I'll share them with you. Yes. So, but this one is very good, and you have that with your bagels. Yes. So that's the combination. And when you do your raw diet plan for the day, for the week, I just want to share, I'm sorry, I'm trying to. I'm trying to show you the outline for the plan. Oh, it's not going to allow me to bring it up, Michael, if it's a Word document?
Yeah.
Okay, it's that thing.
And then after that, you're going to have to bring it over to the.
This is the 7-day meal plan. It's 7 days and it just gives you, so these are, this is the structure of the meal, what you would eat every day for 7 days. I just went over day 1, if you notice, with the recipe, the nutrition, the nutritional requirement, and so this is the rest of it. So this is day 2, and when you organize a meal plan, you could do it strategically. So let's say this week you're making bagels and you're doing flaxseed. So you know you're gonna have bagels and flaxseed. You might want to make 2 different kinds. If you want to make the goat cheese and the almond hummus, you could do that, or you could make just butter. It just depends. You know, so if you have those already made, then you're going to plan your meals around that. So, and I always recommend, you know, you could have a salad somewhere here or there in the meal plan. So for the 2, this is for 3 days. And you could always omit one of them, because after having this smoothie in the morning, a lot of times you might not need the salad here. You could push the salad down to about 3:30 and have the 2 meals for the day. So you have the 2 meals for the day instead of 3. You know, so if you're having the salad at lunchtime, if you have 24 ounces of smoothie in the morning, you really don't need lunch at 12:12. You push that down to like maybe 3:34, and after you have your salad 3:34, you really don't need anything else for the rest of the day. And if you really feel like you need to eat something, you could drink some tea or something like that. Yeah. So, you know, and you mix and match as you go through the week, you know, and there are some things that are very simple. And if you know, it doesn't take anything to make this walnut cashew meat. It's just seasoning and put it in the food processor. So that's what it takes. Like your raw flax cracker and your bagel, you could make those together in the dehydrator, and the mixture is kind of very similar. You just need to dehydrate them, and if you do that one day, you don't need to make it again for the rest of the week. So you have those already made and stored, okay? And just some things you have to make, like if you're going to make chia pudding, you must make that overnight before you actually, but you don't want to, you're not making this for the whole week. You're making it daily. Okay. And I wouldn't recommend doing like your zucchini noodles for more than just, you make it and you use it, because those get very soggy and they spoil easily. So if you want to make a salad, the one that was shown earlier, the organic sun salad, that salad it can last a much longer time, because the kales they stay longer in the fridge. So if you want to make it for 3 days, you could make enough for 3 days and it could stay up to 5 days. Because I don't get up and make my salad every day. Especially when you're using things like kale and those dense red cabbage and so on and so forth. You could make that for a whole week. Okay, and here for the, so as I said, and it is not, if we're dealing with someone who is really sick, it is, I'll give this to you guys. I'll print it out eventually and give it. I might not.
We can get this document?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, excellent. So we'll be sure to put it in the description of the video for everyone.
Yes, it's available. I could share it. It's not like,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so, right. So, and the recipes that are there, I will attach those as well. So that's also available. Yeah. So these are the different mix and match. And as I said, all of these recipes I have them on another chart that you could access and utilize at your convenience if you're planning to make this transition. Go ahead.
I see that you have raw cream of broccoli mushroom.
And why are you making your face up? That is so
Mushroom.
delicious.
Okay, mushroom is neither plant nor animal. So what category of food does that fall into? And is there a particular one that's edible? Because I hear people say some are poisonous, and then they say some of them are edible. They all look the same to me.
If there's, yeah, so for starting, for the ones that are sold in the store, if you notice, mushrooms are very rich in protein and they add a nice flavor to stuff. A lot of mushrooms are used in a healing process. Yes, so it is used for healing, like shaga is a mushroom. And if we were to take that, that is one of the mushrooms that makes you stay young. Yeah, so it enhances your youthful appearance.
What category would it fall under?
So you have a problem with embracing mushroom, and that's where we're starting. So it's embracing it because you cannot fit in a category. We take probiotics. I am just trying to figure, where does that fall? Can somebody help me out? We're taking in all these bacteria and we take them in. Like, does somebody help me out? We get them and we put them in capsules and we are quite content with taking the bacteria, but they're a fungus. That's what they are. And we eat them because they are part of the food that we eat, like we consume the bacteria that are good for us. This is just another one of them that could serve some purpose in your diet. But it's not like you're compounded to take it. The raw, you could make the broccoli without the mushroom. You know, you don't have to include it, but it just had a nice flavor. You know, so the raw cream of broccoli soup, it's just as good, you know. And, you know, we could make one of those. These are some recipes that we could endeavor to explore, you know, when the next time we do like a cooking demonstration, So these are some things that we can explore, you know. But you could make a soup from many other things, you know. Okay. And I was just looking here at the chia flaxseed combination. We use a lot of chia and flaxseed and nuts, and I thought, what's the difference between the chia and the flaxseed, you know? And I was trying to compare them to see where the nutrients, what are we getting out of it. And these are some of the minerals that we obtain from it, you know. But basically this is the plan, the outline. I do have the recipes, as I said, on so I could make copies. I could share it with those who want the whole thing. And this is the transition. This is the 7-day diet. If you have something to follow, I do believe that a lot of people is struggling, and they have the recipes, the time, and the structure that they're following. It would make this transition easier for those people who are struggling with making the transition, with recipes, what to eat, how to consume it, and all of that. So I felt like this was a good way of, you know, presenting it, showing that when we make these things, they are not just empty calories like we're consuming for a lot of the things that we eat. You know, when we eat our meals in a raw vegan diet, we're actually eating, and we're getting solid and dense food to eat. So where this is concerned, as I said, it's available, and if there are any questions, I'll take the questions now. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, so when someone takes the liquid, the salad and make it into a liquid and drink it, when that person have a bowel movement, would a bowel movement be something that floats or sink, or would it be soft or firm?
In most cases, if you take a green juice, you're saying, and I could, okay, so if you're taking the green juice, it would depend on what you had before you take the green juice. So if you're doing green juice for 3 days, your bowel movement is going to be somewhat soft. It's not going to be solid like you would have it when you're eating a lot of starchy food, or, you know, fibers, high fiber. It's not going to be the same.
So in that case, like for example, like my daughter, I used to give her for breakfast, like I put like walnuts with 5 to 6 different fruits, and chia or flaxseed, and like a teaspoon of sea moss. And then I noticed when she goes to the bathroom, like, you know, it'll be very, very soft. So we were concerned, thinking that, you know, she wasn't getting enough fiber. Then when we try to give her food to eat, she wouldn't want to eat it. So I'm thinking your food has to be digested by now. So we used to kind of force her to eat, and she wouldn't eat it. And then then after, like later in the day, like I'll wait. If I give her the smoothie in the morning, I stop wasting my time giving her something to eat solid. I would just wait till like in the afternoon, like around 5, 6, and that's when I give her something and she'll eat it. I just noticed like the bowel in the morning is different to the bowel in the afternoon. She will go like within an hour of her eating, she will always go. But I just noticed the difference in the bowel movement, and I know that I was taught that bowel movement tells you what's going on in the body. So like I noticed like with her, when she did something solid, it does come out like soft, very, very soft, versus when she eats solid food, like salad. Not so much the starchy food, but most of the salad, it will be a nicer, firmer poop that, you know, when she goes in the potty, it will float. That's why I asked the question.
And then the level of absorption, if she's absorbing, you know, when you take in liquid, it's a lot to, just pure liquid absorption. So, and you really don't want to have that in your system because it moves a little faster through the system. So that's part of the reason why you will have a softer bowel movement when you take greens or any, even fruits, because fruits were designed to cleanse and clean the system. So you're taking in fruits, it's going to push its way through the system much faster than as opposed to if you eat a salad. Yes.
Someone online, an online viewer, was just asking regarding mushroom. What is the best mushroom to use?
The truth is, it depends on the individual. I like the portobello. That one is a really nice. I like that texture because they come with different texture. That's the one that I like. I just don't know if there's a best one. Is the flavor on most of them are similar. The texture might be a little bit different. Yeah. So that's the one that I like to use. As I said, it depends on the individual.
Just want to note we do have 2 more minutes, so if there are any other questions, we'll try to take them. We just have 2 more minutes.
The mushrooms are not very safe. Why? The way they grow it. China growing mushroom in these big houses. God designed mushroom to grow by itself out there. So when they start growing mushroom like that, they need to preserve it. They need to spray things on it. So the mushroom on the market is not very safe. If you eat enough nuts, sprout seed, green juice, proper salad, maybe you'll eat mushroom maybe once a year. Yeah, I don't cook any mushroom. I don't even eat it. You don't really need it because it's not very safe the way they're growing mushroom. It's much more about market. So it's not bad, but the ways they're processing it, you have to be very careful about it. That's my opinion.
Should we soak nuts before we eat them or just eat them?
It's recommended because most of the nuts are dried out. So in soaking them, you ignite, you activate them, and there are some gas that might be in it that is released when it's soaked. So it's recommended that you rehydrate, especially your dried nuts, like almonds is something that, it's a good thing to rehydrate them before you eat them. Okay, so that's something that will make it easier to digest. The digestive process will be a little bit easier rehydrating them.
Almost if you drink the water as well.
If you eat the nuts and drink the water, I'm trying to get it.
That would have a lot of enzyme
Yes.
inhibitor that you really don't want. When you soak nuts and seed, they free the enzyme inhibitor in the water. It's not very good to drink that. Yeah, it's not good to drink.
When you spoke earlier about cooking the bananas, the green bananas, and we throw away the water, can we drink the water?
Yes, that one, yes. Because a lot of things.
Yes.
So why not don't vegetable? Just cook it normally. That's all. Don't separate it. Cooking the skin and
Yes.
skin like that.
Like,
You can blend the whole skin with the whole thing.
so if you boil it with the skin, you could drink the water.
Okay, so we're gonna close.
And then normally wash it.
So
Okay.
So this brings us to the end of our raw vegan diet. And as I said, I welcome any questions. If you have any additional question that you need to ask, this is just an example of how we make the transition and things that we could do in the process of making a transition. Maybe in our future classes, if you guys have any preference of what you would like to see, then we could work on that, And I am prepared and ready to coach you in the while you transition or make the process. So you could call me and ask a question if you need to. I could share my number. It's 301-641-0478. That's the number. And I would like to thank you guys for your attention and being a good audience. We're going to pray to close. So, yes. Eternal Father and our God, as we come before your holy presence once more, Lord, we give you thanks and we give you praise, Lord, for knowledge that you have instilled in us, Lord. Lord Jesus, we thank you for the ability to implement knowledge, Lord. Lord Jesus, as we leave here today, Lord, we ask you, Lord, to help us to apply something that we have learned to our daily life, which will help us to grow spiritually, Lord, so that we have more energy to do your will, Lord. Lord Jesus, we are asking you to abide in us, dwell within us, and help us so that we could reflect your spirit, Lord. Lord, we are thankful that you were here with us, and we are asking you to guide and direct us as we leave here today. And I pray for your indwelling of your Holy Spirit. In your name we pray. Amen.
So we want to thank each and every single one of you that are here today. And those of you who have been viewing online, it was a pleasure to take your questions and your comments. If you have any more questions and comments, as Dr. Brown said, you can send them online, and we'll be sure to ask her and be able to incorporate that in what we're learning in these health classes. We will be able to, as Dr. Brown said, we will be able to get that to you. We'll put it in the description of the video. And if you would like it, then in another way, then you could send us an email and we'll get that to you. Know that we will be resuming our class this coming Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so we look forward to seeing you all, those who come here and those who are viewing online. If you would love to come and visit by and you just happen to be in the New York area, then shoot us an email at lastrayministries@gmail.com, or find us on Facebook and you send us a message at the Last Ray Ministries page or at ML Verlis, so that's my personal page, and then we will be able to get you some further information as to how to come and fellowship with us over here. So I pray that you've been blessed so far. We close with prayer, and so you consider yourself dismissed. God bless.